Hi, I am checking in. I am 10 weeks post full extractions, top and bottom, and a wisdom tooth. I am fully aware that I made a bad choice with the bangs. I'm just letting them grow out, and so dealing with the consequences of that and moving on. I wanted to make a list of all the things that I needed, or even would have preferred to have after surgery. So here is that. The first thing on my list is gauze pads. So on my way home, I was still bleeding pretty heavily, and this isn't going to happen to everybody, but if you already know you're a heavy bleeder, and I'm normally not, so to be honest, it might just be helpful to have them on hand regardless. And if you don't need them, I take the ones that I have left over because I had multiple boxes because it was kind of panic ordered when I still needed them after I got home. So now I use them to dry out my dentures because since I got my soft liner, I'm using cream glue and I am having to dry them out before I put the glue on. So you definitely can find a use for them, or you can stick them in your first aid kit. It doesn't hurt to have them. The next thing I recommend is a towel. You're going to want to have a towel to put on your pillow the first night or two, at least the first night, because there is still going to be some bleeding as you move your head around. The next thing I recommend is extra salt, which most people have salt, but you're going to need quite a bit in the first couple weeks to do saltwater rinses. I had to start doing saltwater rinses. I had my surgery done in the afternoon, so I had to start doing them either that night or the next morning. And once I was able to take my dentures out, I was doing them more throughout the day. So you're going to have to be doing them at least twice a day. But I was using powdered glue, so every time I had to re-glue my dentures, I went ahead and saltwater rinsed. So I was saltwater rinsing for the first week at least, many times a day. And your dentist should give you some specification on how many times that you should be saltwater rinsing, but you're gonna need extra salt, and it doesn't hurt to have it. The next thing I felt like I needed, for me, I used a recliner, but I recommend a pillow for incline the first couple nights because they recommend incline, or my dentist did. And so I slept in my recliner for the first few days, but some people prefer to have a pillow, so whichever one you think you would prefer or need to do, I recommend having a pillow or planning to sleep in your recliner. Ibuprofen or Tylenol is the next thing. If you choose not to take these stronger pain medications for whatever reason, or if you just don't have any already, I recommend having Tylenol and ibuprofen or whichever for whenever you're done with your pain medications, or if you choose not to use them, you're going to still need it. There is occasionally going to be pain that first couple weeks. I don't remember being in a lot of pain, but I do remember still having days where I needed the ibuprofen. So I would recommend having that. The next thing was ice packs for your face, because those help a lot in the first couple days, and then even afterwards it can help with pain, especially while you're waiting on pain meds to kick in, whatever kind of pain meds. It can help kind of calm the pain or help with the pain until those medicines kick in, and it also helps with swelling. I do recommend, if you get the beaded ones, to buy like 3 or 4 because they get warm really quickly. If you're a smoker, you're going to want to get nicotine patches because you can't smoke or hit your vape for the first couple days because it could cause dry socket. And obviously follow your dentist's directions on whatever that is. But from what I've been told, you don't want dry socket. I've heard it hurts worse than the actual tooth removal. So you definitely want to make sure you have nicotine patches if you know you're not going to be able to go without it. I am of the understanding that nicotine can slow down healing, so do with that information what you will. But I also understand that a lot of smokers can't go without nicotine for a couple of days. So that'll be a personal choice, but just if you are a smoker, I recommend considering some form of alternate nicotine so you don't get dry socket. Powdered glue was something that my dentist allowed. Again, I recommend doing whatever your dentist says to do, but my dentist allowed me to use powder glue even while I had my stitches. So I couldn't use cream glue until I got my stitches out. So I recommend getting some powdered glue once you know if you're going to be allowed to have it or not, because I had trouble finding it right before my surgery. I ended up having to order it online and have it delivered. The next thing I recommend is getting an overnight soak, because the powder glue and the overnight soak were not included in my going home package. It just had a Denture toothpaste, a toothbrush, a cup, and like some pain relief gel that they gave me. For me, the pain relief gel didn't help. It actually burned. So I'm not sure if that, I imagine that was a personal issue because I don't imagine they would give it to you if it caused more pain. But I didn't end up using the pain relief gel, but my going home package did not have powdered glue, any kind of glue at all. And it also didn't come with an overnight soak for my dentures. I wasn't able to take mine out for the first couple days, but you're going to want to have something to soak them in once you are able to take them out and before getting your soft liners. The next thing I survived on was Ensure and protein drinks. For the first 2 weeks, I was not able to eat hardly at all. Somewhere around the 2-week mark, I was able to eat soft foods like roasted vegetables, like really soft, like squash and zucchini. And then I kind of moved on to other soft foods from there, but I still wasn't able to eat like pasta or mashed potatoes until about in the 3rd week. So I definitely recommend getting Ensure protein drinks for at least a week and then buying more as you need them. Everybody's going to be different. It's going to depend on what you're having done. I've heard that if you're just doing the top, lots of people are able to eat within a week or two. And if you're doing just one top or bottom, it probably is easier because you still have half of your natural teeth. So I definitely recommend preparing for 1 week and going from there. If you're getting a full mouth extraction done, it may take a little bit longer. I wasn't even really able to eat soft pasta and stuff again until the 3rd week. So Ensures and protein drinks really got me through being hungry. I was still hungry, but it helped, because if you're not able to eat anything, you have no energy. I had to go back to work the 3rd week, I believe. I think I went back halfway through the 2nd week. So I was still exhausted because I wasn't eating, but the Ensures helped. If I hadn't had them, I don't think I would have been able to make it through the day without falling asleep. So the next thing I recommend is cream glue for later. You are eventually, once your stitches are out, going to be allowed to use cream glue. And whether or not you want to use them with your soft liner is up to you. I didn't really need the glue on the top at first. But as my gums kept shrinking and my soft liner is getting to where it needs to be redone, I definitely rely on the glue now. So the next thing is extra toothbrushes. You're gonna need extra toothbrushes eventually. I'd recommend just going ahead and buying them, depending on how many your dentist sends you home with. I only got sent home with 2. And one thing that I also wanted to mention was I recommend getting a new plain toothbrush and some toothpaste with fluoride. That's just kind of a plain toothpaste, or I don't feel like you need any, whitening toothpaste or anything for your gums. But I recommend getting a new toothbrush at least and keeping your toothpaste. Because even though you have stuff for your denture care, you're also going to need to be brushing your gums. My stitches didn't dissolve the way they were supposed to, so I definitely had to rely on brushing my gums to help kind of loosen them, and to clean them, you know, because they, in the very beginning, I believe they tell you to use a soft cloth to clean your stitches. But as time goes on and they start to heal, you're definitely going to want to have a toothbrush. And once they're out, you're still going to need your toothbrush for your tongue and your gums. So I recommend keeping a toothbrush and your toothpaste. And then if you're a mouthwash person, even after, you know, taking my dentures out, I still like to use mouthwash. That's a personal preference, but I have 3 different kinds. If I have active sores in my mouth from the dentures, and I'm waiting on an adjustment or whatever, from what I understand, alcohol mouthwash can make that worse. So I only use it when I don't have any sores or painful spots, which most of the time I don't. But on the occasion that I do, I have a mouthwash specifically for the sores. Or if I don't want to use that, I have a non-alcohol mouthwash. And that is everything that I can think of that I needed.